it's becoming more and more apparent that Gotham is about old, rich white guys fighting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't notice that? Like, it's literally
Yeah.
it's literally just a bunch of rich white guys and Jada Pinkett squaring off. Like, how did you not figure that out?
No, not the show. Not the show. Not Gotham.
Gotham itself.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotham
Itself.
Well, yeah.
I'm looking at William Cobb, and like suddenly Dick Grayson is fucking the same rich white fucking Gotham royalty that Bruce Wayne is, and I'm like, you know what? I think I might read some Marvel.
Damn.
Well, I once had it described to me this way: is that if you take Batman at face value, it reads like a Dickens novel.
Yeah.
It sort of reads like Charles Dickens, where you have reclusive old bazillionaire who wants to try and do something good, so he takes in orphan boys off the street. Like, it's kind of a cross between Charles Dickens and Arthur Conan Doyle.
I dig it.
Oh my god! And fucking what was his name? Comey. He's weaponizing children.
Well, the funny thing is that if you've ever read Sherlock Holmes, he has some of the kids that work for him and one kid named Wiggins.
Mm-hmm.
Dick Grayson is essentially just Wiggins, like.
Yeah.
So.
This hurts.
And like, I'm just, I don't know. At least Jurgens is on the book, and like we don't have Lebdell just spinning his fingers for an hour. So there's that.
I should have never read Nightwing on Al Gore's internet.
What? How is it Al Gore's internet?
Oh, it's just something I heard and it stuck because it was hilarious.
Mary, what were you gonna say?
I said I feel like Dan Jurgens is just like spinning in an office chair somewhere going, I've been writing for DC for 30 years. I'm running out of shit to do.
Oh, shit.
I mean, where was his career supposed to go after he killed Superman?
Apparently writing good Batman Beyond books. Because Batman Beyond has been
Like,
amazing.
They just don't give a shit. They just like let him write anything. They should have kept him on Action for a while.
You right.
But
what's going on, good people of the internet? It is time for OnComicsGrounds.com's flagship podcast, Panel to Panel, where a bunch of folks shoot the breeze and talk about comic books and such. Ha! I surprised y'all, and it's funny.
you could have given a girl a warning. Dude.
Oh, mid-sentence.
Oh, that was great. Well, because like I was gonna do it like right when Travis said Al Gore, but I was like, nah, I ain't gonna do that. But we are here back for a brand new episode of this podcast, which we do weekly, talking about all the latest news in the comic book sphere and nerd culture. My name is James Portis. With me here, as always, is my lovely cast of characters as we talk about everything from Marvel, DC, and back again. Apparently tonight we're talking about Blizzard, which is funny as all hell. So let's get into it. To my left, we have the woman who has been loving Batwoman being on television. How are you doing, Mary, this evening?
I'm doing okay. Still a little startled, you asshole. I was mid-sentence and then, whoop, there's the intro.
You right. All right, and then we have the man with the fro who's salty that Nightwing is a Talon. And we know this because of solicitations.
I'm sorry, I thought you said Italian.
I mean, like, he was in the circus, so I wouldn't put it past him.
Dick Grayson's not Italian.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. But Travis, how are you doing?
I am seething.
I mean, at least you know because of the solicitations that this was going to happen. Like you were well prepared. Like even that beautiful John Boy Myers cover of him as a Talon is like the best thing since sliced bread. So yeah, we're prepared for the sadness that is coming in the coming months. But other than that, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well, man. My days off just got switched, so I'm back on the weekends with the winter schedule, so that's quite nice.
That's what's
been able to relax a bit more these days, so
All right. So let's go ahead and dive into it. But before we do, don't forget to follow this podcast on Twitter at PTP_podcast. Don't forget to follow the website On Comics Ground on Twitter and Instagram at On Comics Ground. And you can listen to this podcast like you are right now on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, Podcast Republic, anywhere that you can listen to a podcast besides SoundCloud, because we don't like SoundCloud. And we're going to go ahead and dig into it right now for you. So this is going to be a little bit of a toss around between DC and Marvel. There wasn't a whole lot of news, so we're going to jump around a little bit and have a good time. So we'll start off with I guess we're going to start calling it the Crisis Update, as it were. We got some more updates on the different cast members that are joining the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover this winter. And we already saw this past week, like around the time that the Black Lightning premiere happened, that we saw that like actual like behind the scenes photos of Cress Williams on set as Black Lightning, like giving hugs, taking pictures. And there was a funny video he posted on Twitter, like a little GIF of him driving the Legends of Tomorrow ship, and I was like, yeah. So that was hilarious. I'm excited for that. The big one that had me feeling emotional was that there was a picture of Burt Ward on set wearing a Robin-colored sweater, and I was very sad and emotional that Adam West can't be with him. Were y'all emotional with me?
Yes.
Of course.
And apparently he had a German
emphatic yes.
Yes.
There's so much sadness.
But he had a German Shepherd.
Yes, he had a German Shepherd.
And Ace the Bat Hound traditionally has been a German Shepherd. So, yay. I'm
like, get Burt Ward and the goodest boy.
Say what you will about Tom King, at least he brought Ace the Bat Hound back into canon.
See, that's a great story, though.
Yeah, it really is. So, like, I will give you that one, King. But you hurting my children and my boys, and I'm not okay with this nonsense. But like, yeah. So, like, there was also the announcement that what's dude's name who plays Lucifer? I forget his name.
Oh lordy.
You're stumping me right.
The guy who plays Lucifer is going to be in the cross. Tom Ellis, yeah, the guy. He will be reprising his role to come back and play Lucifer in like a cameo.
That's rumored. That hasn't been confirmed, but that's a pretty big rumor circulating right now. Is that he might pop up.
And, like, that's kind of a cool thing, though. Like, at least... And then apparently Michael Keaton is mentioned in a newspaper picture.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So, like, pretty much everybody but Zack Snyder's crew is, like, allowed to come in. So, yay.
I was talking to Victoria earlier, and I said, look, I'm waiting for the last episode to just have, like, Gal Gadot or Jason Momoa just walk through a shot and go, hi.
No, I want. You know who I want? I want Chris O'Donnell to show up and play like not even in a Robin costume. I want him to show up in a motorcycle jacket and just be like, "What's up?" Like, I don't even care. Like, don't put him in the bat nipples again. Just like put him in a motorcycle jacket like he does in the movie and just be done with it.
Yo, if we got Chris O'Donnell, I would probably be screaming in my living room. Ah!
Either him or Alicia Silverstone, because like Alicia Silverstone, Batgirl is like underappreciated.
But
just like Uma Thurman coming out of nowhere.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that, because Batman and Robin is and I'm saying this unironically, is the best Batman movie because of how ridiculous it is.
Cool party. I might need to rewatch that here soon.
What killed the dinosaurs?
The Ice Age! Like, do you know what I would like? Even if we had to like put a commercial in for Terminator Dark Fate, if we could get like 2 seconds of Arnold back in the freeze suit, I'd shit my pants.
Bro.
Like, even if it had to be like the stupid trailer be in the commercial, I wouldn't care.
Well, here's an interesting theory that I've kind of seen circulating around social media, is that if they can't have actors appear, what's to stop them from using clips? Or, like having a brief flash, or having a clip from this movie or a clip from that movie. Like, somehow weaving it into the plot, not just having a weird clip show kind of a thing. Like, during the Flash when they go to Earth 2 for the first time and Barry's traveling through dimensions. You see Supergirl fly through, and that's when Supergirl was still on CBS. So she wasn't on the CW yet, but we saw kind of that nod in the Flash because you see her like flying crap. They've done something like that before, and maybe that would be interesting to utilize because it's not like Warner Brothers has. But
You cut out there for a second after Warner Brothers.
oh, I said it's not like Warner Brothers has to pay themselves royalties.
You right. I would just love, like, if randomly Uma Thurman just shows up and goes, "As I told Lady Freeze when I pulled her plug, this is a one-woman show." Like, bruh, I would love it.
We found a 4-pack.
What'd you
We
say
found
there?
a 4-pack. I said we found a 4-pack of the Batman 90 Blu-ray, and I might.
Bruh, like, I might even just, like, buy the original DVD off of Amazon tonight just so I can freaking own it. Because, like, I don't even have any of the original movies. I need to rebuy them. Because I had it when I was a kid.
I had Batman.
They were so over the top.
See, like, and it still rubs me the wrong way that, Barbara was Alfred's niece, but, like, I kind of just started to get over it after a while.
Well,
Yeah, it was.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna be like, well, when they had to mention like, oh, we're gonna have to kill her, but that was kind of just comic stuff. Go ahead.
Well, she said it in behind-the-scenes interviews, but Alicia Silverstone didn't even know Batgirl was a pre-existing character before she took the role.
She thought she was like the groundbreaking like.
No,
Oh.
it was just a role that she took.
Damn.
Because you have to remember in like the early '90s, like that superhero movies, they weren't exactly in vogue. Like,
I mean,
was-
yeah,
it was Donner Superman and pretty much nothing else of note.
that's fair.
Unless we really want to revisit Fantastic Four movies, and I'm talking the weird one.
Really turn me into a monster! Ah! Oh, that was funny.
Is that a direct quote?
Yeah, that was from that one weird, like, live-action Fantastic Four movie that never came out. You never heard about that?
No.
Oh, bro, I'm gonna have to send you clips later. Oh my god, because like the whole like VHS was put on YouTube like years ago. It's hilarious watching clips from that shit. Oh my god.
I want to find it again, but somewhere hidden in the depths of YouTube, because I've been watching a documentary about like the history of DC. I don't remember what it's called, but they reference a kind of late night-ish TV show in the 70s where it had actors dress up. They had actors obviously, essentially cause these characters and put them in kind of like this weird adult game show type setting. So I mean, you had somebody dressed up as Huntress, and like it was such a low cut thing, and she's like standing there smoking a cigarette. Like, I want to try and find this. I don't remember what it's called. I don't remember the documentary, but it's gonna drive me bonkers until I can find it again.
You'll find it sooner or later.
That image sounds like, whew.
I mean, and we got the edginess that was the Birds of Prey TV show, which apparently is getting a cameo in Crisis, so there's that.
Huntress is well, at least her actress is
Like, I need full leather outfit, like, this is the Matrix, I need you to, like, do this right, girl.
I mean, maybe it's a little old school, but like out of all the cameos in any like completely not DC related superhero things that she's done, can we get OG Wonder Woman?
Everyone keeps saying that.
I mean, like she was the principal of Sky High. She could do this.
yeah. Well, are you talking about Linda Carter?
Yes.
Yes.
There's a lot of rumors, really heavy rumors that they are trying to get her, but I think honestly that would be dependent on Linda Carter herself, because she's saying nowadays. I mean, she's always saying, but she tours with a band that she had. Daughter go. But
I totally didn't even know that. Holy shit.
Yeah, she's turned down projects before. So I think it honestly just depends on what your schedule is. But have either of you played Fallout 4?
No.
Briefly.
Did you ever get to that bar where there's the lounge singer?
Yes, I did, actually. That's her?
Linda Carter.
Huh. All right.
She wrote and sang all of the songs, and she's in Skyrim.
Wow, did not know that.
I know way too much about Linda Carter.
I mean, it's your mandate that you know about Linda Carter, so it's okay.
Yeah. Well, I have the box set of all three.
Ooh, that's fancy.
Surprise! I have some Wonder Woman.
I mean, like, if you didn't have something in Wonder Woman, I'd be surprised. Like, after I heard about the cutout, like, nothing surprises me anymore.
I do. I have a 6-foot cutout of Gal Gadot.
Wow.
Victoria. Victoria hates it.
Yeah, but, like, its existence is just so awesome.
She made me take it down.
Damn it.
Well, it's because she woke up in the middle of the night and the moon was coming through the window and it cast a shadow on the silhouette, so it looked like someone was standing at the foot of our bed.
Damn.
Out.
Okay. So let's go ahead and move on from the... Oh, actually, no, there was one... This wasn't crisis related, but it still begs mentioning. Like, it was CW related. So, we got a casting notification for Black Lightning. It'll be later in the season. But Wayne Brady is coming on to Black Lightning. And I swear, and I forget if it was Marcus from Blurred Grounds who made the joke. He even pulled up the old Dave Chappelle line of is Wayne Brady gonna have to choke somebody, and my heart was so happy.
Yo, I was reading. He's doing Gravedigger.
Yeah, he's doing Gravedigger.
And okay, has anyone seen Wayne Brady in something this grimdark, like in any kind of role like that? Because I've only seen him as like super happy-go-lucky, and then Dave Chappelle's gangsta shit.
I mean, like, I've seen, like, Wayne Brady has always said for years that he's been into comic book stuff, but he's never taken the plunge. So this will be a first for him, and I'm really excited about it. Mary, you are the historian of sorts, and you love yourself a good war comic. Why don't you tell the folks who Gravedigger is?
Well, there are two versions of Gravedigger. There is the Gravedigger who appeared in the 70s, ish, I want to say 70s, it's been a while.
77.
In DC's Men of War comic. I mean, and both publishers actually were known for their war comics, DC, especially with Sergeant Rock. And a Gravedigger, if I remember how to talk, I have problems today. But Gravedigger popped up in Sergeant Rock and was the only other person to lead Easy Company. So, you know, he did his whole thing in the war comics, and then Gravedigger was actually brought back post-Crisis as kind of a new character in, I believe it was Checkmate. I know Greg Rucka's the one who brought him back, gave him a new identity.
The wiki is saying his first appearance was in New 52? I'd be wrong. I don't know.
I thought Rucka brought him back in Checkmate.
Was it, hold on, let me look.
Because it should be Tyson, because Ulysses was Gravedigger in Men of War.
Tyson, it was Ulysses who came back in New 52, but then Tyson was in Checkmate. Okay, cool, that's fine.
Yeah, he was in Checkmate.
Dope.
But it looks, from what I read about Wayne Brady coming back and coming to Black Lightning as Gravedigger, is that they're kind of combining the two a little bit. That instead of, you know, being Ulysses, who was, you know, a World War II soldier, stayed there kind of a thing, he's going to be playing Tyson, but Tyson was a World War II soldier who was given, pardon the pun here, super soldier serum and, you know, given an extended life period, and this kind of sounds familiar, doesn't it?
When Captain America throws his mighty shield.
But the big thing is, I was seeing in the article, is that after the war, instead of coming back to a segregated United States, he defected and went to Sokovia instead.
Ooh.
So,
he went to Markovia. That'd be freaking dope. Though, see, I'm wondering with Black Lightning if we're gonna get Geoforce at any point, because like we've already seen what's her face, the vampire lady. I forget her name.
Looker.
Yeah, we already got Looker. So
Sort of,
yes. It was, that stuff is still weird. Those whole 2 episodes just gave me the freaking willies. Like, why would you? Anyway,
I mean, they were great horror episodes for a pseudo horror character.
Yes,
she wasn't a vampire.
She was not a vampire.
She's referenced in the first season, and things just didn't.
Well, no, like Travis, have you? Well, you haven't seen season 2. Never mind.
Yeah,
I'm still gonna give you crap for
that. I'm gonna catch up. You just wait.
You got Netflix.
I do have Netflix, but I have to get through the free features of my new Roku box real quick, and then start watching Doom Patrol.
Oh my god! Hey, at least you can watch DC Universe on Roku.
That's exactly why I got it.
It's where the Doom Patrol. I swear to God, Doom Patrol is amazing.
Like Doom Patrol, and then now Titans, because Titans season 1 was and then Titans season 2 has been like, we're gonna juggle 1,000,001 plot lines, they're all gonna be good, and I'm like, wait, what? How is this happening?
Dang. And I was looking through the app that I have before, like I don't have the subscription on just yet. But I was looking through the thumbnails of like Swamp Thing, and I'm like, oh my god, they definitely blew the budget. I gotta see this. Like,
oh my god. No, did y'all hear about the poll DC Universe did this past week?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Just brilliant.
Hype beast clickbait.
So, for those who didn't see, DC Universe decided to reference the good old days of who's that really one famous Batman writer that like everyone loves who edited his books for a long time? I'm blanking. Hold on. I know this. It's gonna kill me if I don't remember it too. That's why I have to look it up.
You want Death of the Family or Death in the Family?
Mary,
writer?
bald head, glasses. I can't think. Help me. You're supposed to have me on Clutch, Mary White.
that descriptor is
okay, but like he's a writer, became like not Dini, something E though. The great radio. Oh, Denny O'Neil.
Jim Starlin.
Denny O'Neil. Because Denny O'Neil was the editor that suggested bringing in the 1-900 numbers for when, because if you remember from the original Death in the Family, there was the 1-800 numbers to call in and like say if you wanted Jason Todd to die or to live. And DC Universe decided to make it a straw poll on the website this past week if you wanted Jason Todd to live or die. And now my dumbass was like, did they really film 2 different versions of the Titans season depending on if Jason Todd lived or not? And that would have been freaking awesome. But no, they did not do that. They just said, you guys wanted Jason Todd to die, but hey, Connor saves him anyway because we gotta introduce Connor Kent somehow. I'm like, okay. Ruined my expectations. I mean, like
you just wanted to be Red Hood.
No, because like there was a picture of the actor online wearing a Red Hood jacket, and I'm like, you can't just like throw him to the death and then bring him back as Red Hood that quickly. That would be some bullshit. So like,
no, you could fire him and bring Jensen Ackles for.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Like. I feel like if they were going to cast Jensen Ackles as Red Hood, their time has already passed.
Man, I could live the good old days trying to... I'm 17 with 5 o'clock shadow. It's like a Raimi movie, you know?
It's a Raimi movie. Oh, shit. Okay. So that's the end of the CW wrap up this week. Actually, no, it's not, because Black Lightning episode 1 came out for season 3, so we have more to talk about. So Travis, you didn't catch up. So Mary,
damn,
you and I, no, you're slow literally. You still on season 1. Mary, you and I watched this episode for season 3, episode 1. Well, how did you feel about the season premiere? Quiet. Where'd she go? Mary, did you die?
Mary.
I'm here. I just had internet issues.
Oh, darn it.
And honestly, like, my brain hurts after that. Like,
Well, I mean, honestly, the episode was so bizarre because, like, they start off with, like, all these, like, metahuman kids, like, encaptured, and then they show Jefferson's in prison, and I'm like, wait a minute. The season 2 ender was like, wait a minute, like, we're gonna induct Lightning, Thunder, and Black Lightning all into, like, this like, government team to defeat the Markovians, and my assumption was we were gonna go, like, full outsiders and have this whole thing go down, but no. We're going straight like Trump government metaphors and stuff with like internment camps and shit. I'm like, wait a minute. So like they took it to the next level, and I can't say that I don't like it, but I'm like, what are we doing here? Because, and you guys know my concerns about this, where we only have so many more straws to pull out the pack. If you get if you get what I'm saying, of us having all these things going on with Black Lightning, but not enough content to back him up. So I'm worried that he's not gonna have much left to pull from, and we're gonna start making up shit, and that's what's kind of happening here. Mary, your thoughts?
I mean, that's definitely a very real fear, is that he doesn't have a lot. Because, I mean, his solo books traditionally have never gone on for very long, and he's, was a side character for the longest. Eventually he joined this team, that. So there's not a lot of singular content that they can pull from, which is why I have always wondered when they're going to start pulling from Judd Winnick, an outsider, and just taking outsiders' points and just repurposing them like they did a la Grace Choi.
Mm-hmm.
And now with Grace, they've kind of stretched and like put her storyline through the ringer a bit, because we don't know what the hell she is. I don't want to go into too much for Travis.
Yeah, but I don't know what the hell they're doing with Grace, and I'm kind of worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, the actress Chantal Twee, who plays her, I mean, she's all like, woo, I'm back in season 3, and I'm like, okay, but where, how, why?
Who, what, when, where, and why?
Because, like, they kept so much of, like, Grace's quote-unquote comic origin, like, running away from home, being trafficked into sex, that stuff. So all of that is still intact, but she's not an Amazon, and she is some other weird that I don't want to ruin.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused about that part.
So they've established precedent as taking from hell. Even Anissa herself is taking outsider. So I'm wondering what point from Judd Winnick we're going to start seeing repurposed.
I mean, if Titans can reference Roy Harper, can I get Roy Harper on Black Lightning for like 2 seconds? Bro, I was so happy when Donna whips out her phone and it says Roy Harper. I was like, yes. Like, I don't even care if it's Arrow Roy Harper. Like, just do something, damn it. Like, especially because how sad the Aqualad episode was of Titans. I need more references. I need more characters. You killed my boy and I'm sad. But, like, yeah. So there's, like, I'm definitely excited to see where the season's gonna go. I'm getting real tired of government, like old looking Al Roker. Like, he's on my last nerve. He looks like Al Roker, I'm sorry! Like, because he keep, like, 1 minute he's saying, oh, the Markovians are bad. And then it's like, oh no, I'm pulling all the strings because I work for the government. And I'm like, what are you doing, brother? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So, the season's going to develop. Episode 1 was very good. I'm excited for Monday. So, stay tuned for our thoughts on Blur Grounds next week, because that'll definitely be a talking point. Because we did an entire episode talking about Black Lightning and, like, getting hyped for the new season, so definitely go check that out. But now, let's dig into some more stuff going on here. There was the greatest thing on God's green earth. If you weren't peeping Star Wars Twitter this past week, I don't like remember the specifics. I believe Freddie Prinze Jr. went on to a podcast. It was called All Things Comedy, and he went on. Actually, no, it wasn't All Things Comedy. It was the Friendship Pod. That was what it was called, the Friendship Pod. And they were asking him stuff about Star Wars, and he goes on this whole rant for like a good while about why everyone is needs to stop being stupid, trying to like keep people out of the fandom, stop trying to make up random stuff that isn't in the canon, because it doesn't make a lick of sense. And he basically breaks down the entire Force balanced mythology that people have been getting wrong for so many years, because George Lucas taught it to Dave Filoni, and then Dave Filoni taught it to Freddie Prinze Jr., and he just goes off for a good 5 minutes just calling every Star Wars fan on their shit, and I freaking love it. Travis, you've been having to deal with some Star Wars haters as of recently. How did this help your developments?
It helped a lot, because I sent them the video and a timestamp, and I was like, "This is it. You just don't get to decide things."
I love that quote. You don't get to decide things. Freddie Prinze Jr. went off. Because, for those who don't know, Freddie Prinze Jr. was on Star Wars Rebels, and he was getting interviewed about that involvement and whatnot. And the negative reactions of the recent movies have just had him annoyed, because people have been attacking him for his involvement in Rebels. So him just going off was so satisfying. But Travis, what was even the argument about that? When it happened with the Star Wars thing,
that Darth Vader and Anakin are two separate people. Ugh. To the point, okay, let me. This is where I started having to really laugh and try to gather myself. Was that he tried to say that Kylo in 7 was talking to Vader's Force ghost through the mask. And I'm like, you mean the same ghost we saw turn into Anakin on Endor? And so, apparently there are two of them. Two Force ghosts.
There's not two Force ghosts. They're the same person. If you want context, go read Karen Gillan's Darth Vader Volume 1. It explains everything. They're not two separate people. Just because one's Hayden Christensen and one's James Earl Jones does not mean they're two different people. And if you want even more context besides Karen Gillan's Vader Volume 1, go read Thrawn Alliances by Timothy Zahn, and that will explain everything. So get off your high horses, folks, and then just go watch this rant, because it's so satisfying. Mary, what were your feelings on this rant?
Frankly, I thought it was just friggin' hysterical. This is a man that has clearly, put up with way too much.
It seems like the entire Star Wars fandom has put up with too much. Every actor that's been involved, from Ahmed Best, to now Freddie Prinze Jr., the girl who plays Rose Tico, it just keeps going on. And now that someone has just gotten tired of it and gone off, it's so perfect.
Well, especially with Freddie Prinze Jr. probably having to watch all of this from the sidelines, and then I don't know how often on appearances, but on social media, as if he makes them, that's when fans decide to voice their opinions about plot points, which in and of itself is not a bad thing. But Star Wars fans can be relatively confrontational, from what I understand. I like Star Wars, but I am not a Star Wars fan, if that makes any.
That's fair.
But But you can tell he's clearly been putting up with this for a really long time. He's sick of it, and to the point where you're harassing Kelly Moran off of social media just because you didn't like the imaginary character play.
Why are we at that point where we're harassing people to the point that they want to because there was the whole thing with Jake Lloyd and Ahmed Best saying they wanted to commit suicide over this shit. Why are we doing this? I don't understand.
I think a lot of it boils down to fans' bizarre entitlement. Oh, I deserve to see this and this and this in a movie. It's no, you really don't.
Right.
I think fandom as a whole has a very bizarre sense of entitlement to it because, you know, you like this one specific thing about this one specific property, and, you know, you spend a lot of time with it, you, like, over appreciate it, and you start to obsess over it, to the point where I think it does become an obsession. Sometimes people just don't know when to let go. And, you know, I say this as someone who is such a passionate fan about so many things. Like, yes, I want to see, you know, this adapted and this adapted, you know, exactly this way or exactly that way. So I can kind of understand that mindset, but, like, at the same time, you have to maintain a grip on reality, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. And, like, as a diehard Batman neckbeard at the end of Tom King's run, I feel like people should just get over it. And I know that's not so easy because people are so passionate about these things.
Alfred!
Right, but it's supposed to be a dynamic and fluid piece of work or universe or whatever you want to call it. It has to evolve with the times, otherwise it's just fan service for old people. You know what I mean? And I don't want to,
I need
be
to
that
clip
guy
that.
to be like,
I need to clip that. That was perfect.
That's what it is, though. And so what it boils down to is, like, these creators want to adapt these stories for not only themselves but their peers, and then you have these people who are diehards that just can't relate to this adaptation, and so they completely shun it, and it turns into people harassing actors and actresses on the street, and it's this rabid entitlement in the fandom.
I think something that Freddie Prinze Jr. in his rant, I guess, said that, you know, these are people who age up, but the fandom is not aging. Like, the property is not aging with them. That, and I think when he said that, that really jumped out to me, that, you know, these people, they watch Star Wars as kids, and then, I'm sorry, my ferret's throwing.
Maxwell.
Yeah, Maxwell's throwing a fit about something. He didn't. But, you know, these people, they watched Star Wars as kids, and, you know, they're revisiting it now and realizing that it's not the way they remembered. You know, they have spent decades kind of growing up and consuming more and hitting deep or whatever, and the property is still kind of at this level where it's at, because Freddie Prinze Jr. says that, you know, the movies are for kids, and I don't know if I 100% agree with that, but he has a point that instead of aging up with one generation, why not have it set that it can appeal to multiple at the time, and that expands your profit margin.
Well, like I get what he's saying about the kids thing, because, like, it's sort of the same thing that we deal with, like, so with Power Rangers or even, like, normal comics, where because, like, I remember seeing there was this whole thing about this guy was getting angry about Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, on Twitter when they revealed that, other piece of news, Kamala Khan's going to be in the Avengers video game, which we kind of already knew from the other trailers. But this guy was getting mad about Kamala, like, being, like, in the current comic canon, and say nobody likes her, like she's a bland character, all this stuff, and it's like, but she's not for you. Like, it's the same thing with, like, Power Rangers now versus Power Rangers when we were younger. There were just different kid like products that were going for different things. Like, I still say, like, and people can come at me, I don't care. Jason David Frank, Tommy, Green Ranger, not the best thing since sliced bread. And that's because I started from Turbo and I went on it, and, like, as I got older, I watched, like, newer interpretations of Power Rangers, and I saw there was a better Power Ranger stories, but at the end of the day, it was all still for kids. So when people get mad and say, oh, this version of Star Wars, but this version of Star Wars, it's all for, like, it's all meant to be children's media, or at least young adult media, and then now with Mandalorian, we are getting somewhat adult media, or like sort of like some of the teenage video games like Force Unleashed and stuff like that, or more like teenage adult media, but at the core of it, it's still supposed to be an all ages type of, like, formula.
Yeah, it's, again, I absolutely abhor the, but quote unquote friendly. Like, it has to be able to appeal to all type.
Yeah.
But no, it's what he said with, you know, these things have not aged up with these fans, and That's what really stuck out to me, is that's really applicable to any fan.
Yeah. Like literally, we have all these fights going on in terms of, like, different fandoms, and yet he just hit the nail on the head of, like, we're just arguing over, like, media. It's not even, like, stuff that can really affect us at the end of the day. Now, granted, like, this show is about, like, discussing media in general, though, but at the same time, we should be able to have dialogues and enjoy, like, the different things we love. We can have disagreements, like, occasionally you hear us disagree on the show, but we're not, like, rabidly attacking one another. Like, there should be, like, fairness and be allowed to enjoy different things we love and whatnot.
Hey, they don't know what we do when...
You totally cut out there.
I said they don't know what we do when we're not recording. We yell at each other.
No.
Oh.
I mean, we yell about other things. We don't yell at each other about things. But, like, that's beside the point. But no, we yell about our frustrations about different comic books, but we don't yell about, like, each other. We actually, like, do care about one another. But besides the fact of that, I think Freddie Prinze Jr. hit the nail on the head. Like, all praise to him for that. We will go ahead and move on from there. And there's been this interesting thing developing over the past 2 weeks. There's been going on, not just with geek media, but then on top of that, we've had to deal with basketball media as well. So what am I talking about? So there's been this ongoing thing going on with China, where we've had this ongoing protest in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is separate from China. That's been a thing going on for a long time, where Hong Kong had a bill introduced that had to deal with extradition, like to different countries for different crimes and whatnot, and it was immediately protested and against and whatnot. They felt that the government was doing wrong by their citizens, and the bill finally was taken back because of it. But the protests are still going on because of different things going on in the country, and there was the development that from the what'd you say, Mary?
Sorry, it was background noise.
Oh, okay. There was in the basketball world, there was the manager of the Houston Rockets tried to, like, show his support for the protesters, but had to rescind it because of the NBA supporting China for different things, and then Yao Ming originally being from China when he was in the Houston Rockets and all that stuff. There was that going on. So there's, like, people wondering if the NBA is bowing to the knee of China, and then we had Blizzard. Well, Activision Blizzard, but specifically the branch of Blizzard, the video game publisher, that came under fire because they banned a Hearthstone player for like during a YouTube interview with some Hearthstone Chinese YouTubers. He showed his support wearing a gas mask because of all the different gas being thrown by authorities at the protesters, and he was showing his support for Hong Kong. And not only did they ban him from playing Hearthstone for a year, they took $500,000 of prize money that he had won from him because of him showing freedom of speech, but it was targeting a government, and apparently they have something in their terms of service and their contracts playing competitively that they're not allowed to do these things, which that's really messed up. And that was the entire situation. There was an organization that was saying they would front him all of the money that he lost because of being wronged by Blizzard. There was the literal creator of World of Warcraft saying that he would be protesting Blizzard for what they were going on. There was employees staging walkouts, and this has been an ongoing thing for the past week. And we saw, I believe 2 days ago, that Blizzard finally said, okay, we'll give him the prize money back, but he'll still be banned just for a shorter amount of time. And it's had this ongoing discussion of companies who are involved with China, whether it be financially or even supporting them through different avenues like player bases, if they are just bending to the knee politically of China and not caring about freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Thoughts?
All right. This honestly, I
had to drop all them bombs right there and explain everything for the novice, for the people who don't know what's going on.
I have a lot. I don't get many opportunities to get political on the show, so here we go.
All right.
Honestly, bottom line, like, base thing, Blizzard is an American company, as far as, like, I know, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but Blizzard is an American
company with some stock, like, involved in them from a Chinese company, Tencent, who has, like, financial stake in, like, multiple different companies, like Epic Games and a bunch of other different publishers, that they have a little bit in, like, everybody's pocket, so that's why they're a little bit worried about the future of, like, video gaming and, like, Chinese involvement.
See, and that's what kind of blows me away is, like, with this boycott, we saw so one of the main WoW devs made a post. I forget his name. I posted in the Discord. If you like, I gotta find it real quick. But he was saying that he made this game, World of Warcraft, to, like, connect with people and experience and create more diversity. Which anyone who's played WoW can tell you that that's kind of what happened. And he completely deactivated his account, uninstalled the Blizzard player and all of that, and just walked out, boycotting Blizzard. And I honestly, like, as an American company, can't understand why Blizzard would step into the fray to stymie someone having an opinion on such things.
Money!
Well, you're right. That's the problem, because didn't he play money to play Hearthstone? It's not his fault that he's really good at the game. They're punishing him for using his clout in this game that he is very good at to push forth a message that he believes in, which is one of the most American things someone can do. So, what's going on here?
Well,
you know what I mean?
I think the problem is that, like, apparently the player is from China / Hong Kong, possibly. Like, I think he is. So, and obviously, communism and, like, other things involving their laws might not be the same, but at the same time, like, Blizzard trying to say their terms of service says you can't show support for protesters is kind of like, you need to change your terms of service there, Blizzard, because what the actual hell, when your parent company Activision literally makes war games. Like, that kind of should say something about your branding, that, like, they make war games, they have, like terrorists in them, they have freedom of speech in those games. Like, Modern Warfare drops in less than a month, and it has a new take on the original story of, like these characters going and trying to stop terrorism, and you're telling me that you're gonna stop this kid from protesting what he believes in? What?
Right. Like, in Blizzard specifically, like, when you look at StarCraft is a huge commentary on, like, basically spacefaring American ideals run smack dab in the middle of what you could call space communism and being a hive mind. That's how they treat it. That's how the propaganda is in that game. And they make so much money off of that game, but for someone to be able to say what they want, you know what I mean, he didn't deserve to be punished like that on this level just because he's good at Hearthstone and people recognize that.
And then there was before I mentioned the South Park angle of this, Mary, you are the political science major here. What is your take on what's going on?
I mean, China, because in college I studied political science because I wanted to be in the foreign service in China. You know, I had all these, huge aspirations of, being a translator, a diplomat, or whatever, and, we all see how that turned out. Joking, I did just fine in school, thank you. But, it's because, James, you mentioned the fact that it's a communist government, and while communism is a whole other, thing all on its own, and I'm not going to dive into that here, it has more to do with the fact that Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, if you will, has essentially declared himself dictator for life. Mm-hmm. And the whole situation with Hong Kong is spiraling out of control because of, like, the tense history that's there. Because I'm just going to blast through a history lesson real quick.
Sweet.
But the reason why Hong Kong is, technically part of China and theoretically might not is because it was seized by the British in the First Opium War, when Britain wanted to sell drugs in China, and China's like, hey, no thanks. And they're like, screw you, we're Britain, we're going to do it anyway. So they go to war, and China gets their ass kicked by Britain because Britain was kicking everybody's ass at that time. So they seized Hong Kong so that the British could trade under their own laws to China. And so it was a whole mess. And the British maintained control of Hong Kong until, I want to say, 1997. When Britain's like, I guess we should give it back, ? So, I mean, it spent a very decent chunk of time being under British control. And, you know, when the British decided just to give Hong Kong back to China, nobody really knew what to do. And I am watering down horrendously difficult political points here. So China has always, not China, but Hong Kong has always maintained a certain amount of, I guess, freedoms that the mainland hasn't really offered. So it is just this big old complicated issue because the mainland is trying to put in place an extradition treaty that if you basically say crap that the mainland doesn't like and you live in Hong Kong, they can extradite you to mainland and put you through laws in the mainland, and, you know, put you through the court systems there, and that is not fun.
No, not at all.
Like, the Chinese criminal justice system is intense. I mean, it's intense.
Ironically, South Park made fun of it this past week.
They did. And I mean, the whole situation in Hong Kong, it breaks my heart because I mean, these are people who are protesting for, you know, their rights, you know, the First Amendment rights, you know, even just right to not live under a dictator for life. So it's hard to watch that. And you have this big public push saying, hey, stand with Hong Kong, stand with these people who are fighting for their rights. But China itself is a massive economic market. I mean, you know, look at the fact, you know, the way they consume movies alone. I mean, the money that they spend with the MCU. I mean, it's a huge market for things like the MCU. Alita Battle Angel did phenomenally in China. So if it gets a sequel, it's not because of the North American market, it's because of the Chinese market.
Yep.
So you have a lot of these companies and industries, from the NBA to Blizzard to movie studios, that are shaping the way their industries are worked around the Chinese market.
There was that entire thing with the reason why the Ancient One was changed from being Tibetan to being Celtic based as a white woman, which a lot of people saw as whitewashing. Disney did it that way. They did not piss off China.
Exactly, because China and Tibet is not a happy relationship, to the point that, you know, there are still Tibetan Buddhist religious officials who are still engaging in self-immolation, which is a fancy term for setting themselves on fire in protest.
Yep, the Dalai Lama is a public enemy to the Chinese government, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah. He, if I remember correctly, he cannot return.
Yep. Because
he speaks out against the Chinese, you know, quote unquote occupation of Tibet. But it's a mess to see that these companies that, you know, try to maintain this, you know, stance of, well, we believe in the First Amendment or free speech of the people who engage in our property or consume our product or whatever, but simultaneously have to bow to the Chinese market. So in order to get that money from the Chinese market, they have to quite literally toe the party line in China. Because the conversation even sort of links to things like LGBTQ representation in China, and why, you know, movies like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or even the DC extended universe have not put LGBTQ characters in their movies, is because of the fact that, you know, you have the Russian censors that will take it out, and then the Chinese censors that will take it out, because China very heavily censors all the movies that come in.
Yep.
And even the Russian censors alone are intense because the Power Rangers reboot movie actually was rated, the Russian equivalent of rated X, because of the scene where Trini comes out. And it's not even, an intense coming out scene.
Yep.
She just talks about girls. Like,
she doesn't even say that she's actually gay. It's just like Zach says, boy problems, no. Girl problems, kinda. And that's it. That's all that is said.
That's
and it's
it.
like, ugh.
And it was given the equivalent of an X rating.
That's foul.
Yeah.
That's foul.
I like it just, and then we had the whole issue with South Park the past week where they did a whole episode talking about how things can be banned in China because you had Randy going to China to sell weed, and then he got hemmed up. They talked about how the president of China doesn't like being called Winnie the Pooh because people on social media called him Winnie the Pooh. So like that's like, I think Winnie the Pooh is like a like, what was it, a terrorism like label now or something like that. Like a hate symbol.
Well, the thing is that activists have been killed. Like, this isn't, oh, he thinks he looks like Winnie the Pooh. People are being killed.
Yep.
Because I do not remember his name off the top of my head, and that breaks my heart. But there was an activist in China who ended up dying in police custody. The last really known picture of he and his wife, they're standing there smiling at the camera, and they have Winnie the Pooh mugs. Because somebody took a picture of Xi Jinping walking alongside with President Obama and compared it to a picture of Winnie the Pooh and Tigger.
Damn.
And that's how the whole thing got started, and Chinese social media kind of started making fun of it a little bit, and that was cracked down on. And when this activist was killed, the Chinese censors went to work. Like the CNN broadcast that was advertising Jesus, that was reporting on his death, it would just cut to black. It would, even candle emojis were restricted by the Chinese censors.
Dang.
Like, the level of censorship that exists in that country and how much of it controls world media is insane. The fact that, this one player on it, like, and I understand that professional gamers are a thing. I personally don't understand it, so I'm just kind of going with it here. But the fact that, one person on a singular stream basically said, hey, I stand with Hong Kong or something like that. And the fact that he is facing penalty, he's losing his winnings. Didn't they reinstate the winnings?
They reinstated the winnings and they shortened his ban.
Yeah. And, that's really only due to the court of public opinion that people were pissed. And that's the only reason they're doing it is, okay, do we piss off China or do we piss off everybody else, kind of a thing. And that's a tough cost-benefit analysis to weigh. Like, and I don't know. It is, I feel like I have rambled on about a really watered-down version of everything that's going on.
You have educated us, and that's great stuff.
But you know what? I'm going to say it. And I'm sorry, but fuck the Chinese government. Like,
hey,
fuck the Chinese government and Winnie the Pooh's bitch ass.
Damn. Hey man,
Winnie the Pooh didn't do anything.
No, I mean Xi Jinping.
Oh yeah.
Hey man, Tally told like if you don't like that we said it, tell Tally that, because Tally told Randy to say it. Fuck the Chinese government. Okay, and. I believe, is that everything that we have in this episode? Yeah, I believe it is. So, we are going to go ahead and wrap up this episode, but before we do, we are going to give our recommendations in terms of, like different books that you can pick up in your local comic book shop this Wednesday. So, I believe there is a consensus about one of the books that is coming out. So,
right.
Mary, do you want to be the one to talk about our first recommendation, like the group recommendation for this week?
Yes, I do. And next week, Superman Smashes the Klan #1 comes out, and I could not be more excited for this book. Superman Smashes the Klan is an adaptation of a series of episodes from the 1940s of the Old Adventures of Superman radio show. Superman and the Order of the Fiery Cross, I believe, is the title of the series. And it details Superman literally going you know, not necessarily to war, but literally battling an allegory for the Ku Klux Klan. It is the Klan, but they couldn't use the actual name Ku Klux Klan because it ironically would have resulted in a lawsuit. And the Klan, after those series of episodes, the Klan even tried to sue the show.
Damn.
So we are actually seeing that adapted into a comic, and it basically deals with, I mean, and you're not going to get the reveal in the comic because, well, pictures. But Superman ends up having to do battle with the Klan because they come after a Chinese boy in the radio show. And solely for the fact that this boy and his family are Chinese Americans. So Superman steps up and he's like, okay, these people are assholes. Let's deal with like...
Nice. But yeah, that is definitely the group consensus book of the week, that Superman Smashes the Klan is the main recommendation from the team. Travis, do you have a book that you want to recommend as your recommendation for the week?
My recommendation for the week would be Batman 81.
What?
And yeah,
what?
Yeah,
Travis.
It has to be.
Why?
Because it's such a huge, like, of course we're still dealing with the aftermath of Alfred. Batman doesn't know. Bruce has no idea that Alfred is dead. Not a clue right now. But we're dealing with Thomas being given the order to take out Damian, and the events that follow are... James is shook. Let me just put it like that.
I'm not okay with it. We can't talk about it because that would be bad. You'll see on Wednesday. Let's say that. Okay.
Just wait.
Yeah, just wait.
It's so good.
I'm not okay with it. Mary, what is your personal recommendation for the week?
Actually, I want to jump back to Superman Smashes the Klan for a minute. I feel like it deserves mentioning that Jean Luen Yang is the one out adapting it, and he previously wrote New Superman during Rebirth, so it's a significant. He also wrote a comic called American Born Chinese, which is a fantastic graphic novel that I think a lot of people should read. But other than that, my recommendation for next week, I mean, like, sort of. I don't know. I'm excited for X-Men, and I'm not.
Why? Are you not excited for the Summers Family Orgy plus Wolverine?
I'm not.
The Summers Family Orgy. Woo!
Bro, look at that cover. It's literally the entire Summers clan plus Wolverine. That's all it is.
Oh my god, and Wolverine's the slick one because he's trying to get with everyone there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you got Baby Cable, you got Vulcan who's randomly come back because of the new timeline. You got Havoc, you got Scott, you got Jean. I think Rachel's there. Yeah, Rachel's there too. Like, and then you got Logan just like, what's up? Like, it's literally and you have like all the Summers boys' father too, Corsair there too. So it's literally just a Summers Family Orgy plus Wolverine.
And I mean, if you actually sit there and think about it, you can pair Wolverine with any one of them.
Yes.
But...
yeah, because that's what Wolverine does. Wasn't it a pretty recent one where he was talking to some little girl where he knew both her grandmother and her mother, and he's giving like a really smug you know about me grin.
I don't remember this, but I'll have to look into that.
I'm going to find that face.
Oh god. I'm still catching up on House of X and Powers of X. I fell off a little bit, but I'm gonna catch up tonight. I'm excited for X-Men #1. My recommendation for this week, besides Superman Smashes the Klan, definitely has to go to Excellence #6. This series has been like this great book that's been coming out from Image. The creators have been putting all this love and power and magic into this one series, like pun intended, but like Brandon Thomas, Carrie Randolph, and Emilio Lopez have been doing this amazing job with this series, and I'm so excited to see where it goes. Hopefully, is able to move past the first trade and keep going, because it's so good. If you're not reading Excellence, like, you need to be reading Excellence. I'm just saying. So definitely pick that up. The trade should be coming out this month or in November, so pick that up once that drops and get ready for issue 7. That is our recommendations for this coming week. Don't forget to follow this podcast on Twitter at PTP_podcast. Don't forget to follow the website on Comics Ground at Twitter, Instagram on Comics Ground, and check out the website every weekday on comicsground.com. Put some hyphens between those words and check out all kinds of reviews, opinion pieces, and previews of the latest comic books that are coming out this week, or just our thoughts on every comic book that there ever is. We will catch you folks next time. Mary, what is your closing statement for this episode of Panel to Panel?
Fuck the Chinese government.
Yes!
How did I know? Oh my god.
That's my that's my closing statement.
Travis, was that going to be your closing statement as well?
Well, it was actually going to be I support Hong Kong.
Alright, there you go.
Yeah.
They team up. They team up.
Hey, there you go. My closing statement, while it is also fuck the Chinese government, I will also say, as always, support your local comic book shop. Protect my bird boy Tim at all costs. And we will catch. Damn it! And we will catch you folks right here next week on Panel to Panel. Peace out.